Hello and welcome everyone. The case is of a 58-year-old man with severe pneumonia and ARDS. Now, this patient was on ventilatory support. While on day 4, when the patient improved, he developed a sudden aphasia and right arm weakness. Now, pupils were equal, glucose was normal, and the patient was already on low molecular weight heparin. The initial data shows the ABG was mild, hypercapnia was there, oxygenation was normal, CT brain showed no bleeds, NIHS was 7, ECG was having a sinus rhythm, and the CT showed no large vessel occlusions. So this is not a very typical case where you do develop a stroke. This patient had no history of any diabetes, hypertension, or any coronary artery disease. Now, this is what is called classically is a cryptogenic stroke. So, what is cryptogenic stroke? It is an ischemic stroke where the cause is not found at first, even after all standard tests. Now, this is seen in around 1 out of every 4 ischemic strokes. Finding the cause matters because we have targeted secondary preventions which can prevent any recurrence. Now, stroke types that you should remember are that 90% is ischemic, 10% is hemorrhagic. Ischemic can be lacunar, which means that there is small vessels, which means that the chances of a very gross neurological involvement is less. Or it can be non-lacunar, which means that there is a large vessel involved, or there is a cardioembolic stroke to a major artery, which means that there will be a significant neurological symptoms. Cryptogenic means essentially hidden cause. Many causes reveal a cause, cases reveal a cause when you look harder into it. Now, ischemic stroke. Before we go into ischemic, the cryptogenic stroke, we must know what are the common causes where it is not cryptogenic. So, as we have already seen, 90% is ischemic. So, in this 90%, the most common cause is large artery atherosclerosis. So, you have either a carotid or an intracranial plaque rupture or stenosis, which results in a artery to artery embolus and a ischemic stroke. The other would be cardioembolic, where you have atrial fibrillation and the patient has dilated cardiomyopathy or any valvular disease where a thrombus has been formed inside the heart and it migrates to the brain and causes a stroke. Small vessel like lipohydrolysis of chronic hypertension or diabetes. So these are very common risk factors which you can find for ischemic stroke. Apart from this, there are some other causes like cervical artery dissection, hypercoagulable states, antiphospholipid syndromes, cancer-associated thrombosis, aortic arch atheroma, vasculitis, autoimmune diseases, paradoxical embolus, and drug-related and less common like Moa disease. So, the previous causes that we saw were the common causes. So, the other causes that we discussed right now are something which we usually don't search for. So, they remain cryptogenic. The next 10-15% is hemorrhagic, where the common cause will be intercerebral hemorrhage because of an hypertensive arteriopathy, cerebral amyloid angiopathy, anticoagulant usage like patient is on antiplatelets or anticoagulants, vascular malformations, hemorrhagic transformation of ischemic strokes, and sympathomimetic drugs like the amphetamines, cocaines. You can also have subarachnoid hemorrhage, which we have already discussed many times. Next would be the cerebral venous sinus thrombosis. There are various risk factors, again, which have discussed this in other videos. Now that we know what are these so-called common causes of stroke, what are the minimum evaluation that you need to do before calling that a stroke is cryptogenic? These are the AHA and the ASA guidance. You have to do a brain and vascular imaging, that is CT or MRI or CT or MRA, to find out whether there is any plaque or something there. Echo transesophageal can also be required. Prolonged cardiac rhythm monitoring to see that there is no atrial fibrillation. Basic lab results for vascular risks like lipid profile, diabetic testing, screening other causes when indicated. So, when do we keep searching for more causes? We do that because when we find that these common tests are coming normal, and we know that there are some specific therapy they exist for many hidden causes like anticoagulation for atrial fibrillation, a PFO closure in selected cases, immunosuppression for vasculitis. Then after doing the initial test, we have to keep looking for the other missing causes. So the key hidden causes to hunt for are the occult or paroxysmal atrial fibrillation. So you can get clues in older age group: diabetes, obese, enlarged left atrium, raised pro-BNP. So you go for a Holter, which can mix it at times. So loop recorders detect more atrial fibrillation than Holter monitoring. In these cases, you can go for anticoagulation for secondary prevention of atrial fibrillation if confirmed. The next is patent foramen ovale. This is quite common actually in general population, around 25%, and more relevant in patients who are less than 60 years of age group and they do develop a stroke. So in that age group, you should look for a patent foramen ovale. What happens is you have a paradoxical embolism, that is the clot passes from the venous side to the arterial side. Usually when you have a cardiopulmonary stroke, the clot is present in the arterial side, that is in the left atrium or the left ventricle. From there, or the mitral valve, from there it is migrating to the atrial circulation. But here what happens is you have a patent foramen ovale, because of which DVTs or any kind of venous thrombosis is able to pass through that foramen ovale, that is connecting the right atrium and the left atrium, and after entering the left atrium it goes to the brain and causes the stroke. So tests that you need to do are bubble testing on echo. You can go for esophageal as well. In this, the action that you need to take is be carefully select patients. Closure reduces the recurrence of a new stroke. Otherwise, you can go for antiplatelet and anticoagulation as per the risk. Thrombophilia. Now, this is a very important cause, especially in younger patients, in whom you find there is no traditional risk factors for developing a stroke, and the fact that it is happening multiple times, and a strong family history. All these three things will point out towards thrombophilia. Example is hyperhomocystinemia, MTHFR mutation, factor V laden, antiphospholipid syndrome. So these are the causes where you find thrombophilia, that is the platelet is coagulating more easily, producing strokes. Correct reversible factors like homocysteine, consider anticoagulation here, avoid oral estrogen in these patients, and prothrombotic agents. The next is aortic arch atheroma, where you have a large plaque that is at least more than 4 millimeter in the aortic arch, associated with higher overall cardiovascular risk. You can detect it in the esophageal echo or high resolution aortic imaging. In this, what action you need to take is you need to optimize the vascular prevention, that is statins, BP control, diabetes, antiplatelets. Specific impact on stroke alone is less clear, still worth identifying it and as a cause of cryptogenic case. Next would be cardiac tumors. The clues would be a embolic kind of a stroke plus minus constitutional symptoms. That is, a patient could have impacts of a cancer. Positional syncopes, cardiac tuber plop, multiple territory infarcts. This could point out to a cardiac tumor embolizing. You can identify it in echo or cardiac MRI. Surgical removal of the tumor should be done urgently under cardiac and cardiovascular reference. Next would be cervical artery dissection. It is especially in younger age group, that is less than 50. The triggers are minor neck trauma, sudden neck movements, chiropractic manipulation, as you have seen in multiple videos, the sound they make while turning people's neck. This can be very, very dangerous, especially in patients less than 50 years. A recent infection with cough and vomiting, a whiplash injury, hyperextended positions, all these can lead to cervical artery dissection. These are very simple things which can lead to very major problems. So should be very careful while doing these things, especially if you are going to all these chiropractic manipulations and salons where you're cleaning your hair and all. These are very important places. The symptoms that you can face is you can have a neck pain or a headache with some kind of focal deficit. You should look for Horner syndrome here if there is a carotid dissection. Posterior circulation sign could be vertebral dissections. You have to go for a CT angio or a MR angio of the neck vessels, and in action you have to go for antithrombotic therapy and vascular and neurological follow-up of these patients. Cancer associated stroke, that is, cancer creates a hypercoagulable state which results in a stroke. In cryptogenic stroke, think of an occult malignancy if you are actually finding no absolute cause for this reason of stroke at all. Elevated thrombosis marker and systemic symptoms should help you in this regard. It has to be age appropriate cancer screening, that is, in which age which type of cancer is common. Try to look for that cancer, manage the thrombosis risk and coordinate with oncology over here. Next would be vasculitis and immune mediated disease, because primary CNS angiitis is not very uncommon. Systemic inflammatory features like features of fever, weight loss, rashes, joint pains, that is arthralgia, multi-territory infarcts, elevated inflammatory markers, all these could point towards vasculitis cause. Examples being giant cell arteritis, Takayasu's, polyarteritis nodosa, ANCA associated vasculitis, Behcet syndromes, SLE. Primary angiitis of CNS can present solely with neurological disease also. So you need to do multiple tests, especially for inflammation. You can check ESR CRP, you can check the ANA, ANCA, APS panels, vessel wall MRI, CT, angio and biopsy of selected vessels can and should be done. Immunosuppression should be started once the diagnosis is confirmed, and urgent rheumatology and neurology input should be taken. Regarding metabolic and rare causes, you can have something called Fabry's disease. It is an X-linked alpha galactosidase A deficiency, where young stroke patients are seen with neuropathic pain, angiokeratosis and cardiac and renal involvement. Here you go for enzyme testing and genetic confirmation and disease specific therapy. So if you have such a patient where you cannot find a typical cause like diabetes, hypertension, any plaque or any particular thing looking into obvious cause of stroke, then confirm stroke and its pattern. Do a MRI, assess the vascular territories that are involved, assess lesions, find out if it is embolic or small vessel or large vessel, and do the minimum crypto workup early, that is, do a ECG and the inpatient telemetry. Obviously, do an echo with bubble study. This will help you rule out the atrial fibrillation and patent foramina vein, which are the most common causes of these things happening. Apart from that, run your panels again, the lipid profile, check for diabetes and inflammatory markers if you have a clinical indication, of course. Prolonged rhythm monitoring, if you are not finding anything immediately, then do extended monitoring up to 7 to 30 days. This is very important, especially in young age group. Next would be the targeted testing based on the clues. If you are having neck pain, back pain, then do a angio for the dissection. If the age is less than 60 and you have valve sulfur related onset, there is DVT, then do a bubble echo for PFO. Recurrent miscarriages, multiple episodes, then antiphospholipid, anti-immune panels. B symptoms, unexplained weight loss, screen for malignancies. Multiple vascular beds involve systemic inflammation, vasculitis workup, vessel wall imaging and biopsy. Unusual systemic signs, then you can go for genetic testing for Fabry's disease. The next is linking the finding to therapy. If there is atrial fibrillation, then start anticoagulation. PFO, then try for closure. Dissection, then you can go for antithrombotic therapy. Avoid any further strain to the neck. Antiphospholipid syndrome and thrombophilia, you have to go for anticoagulation as per your diagnosis. Vasculitis, immune suppression. Cardiac tumor, obviously some onco and surgical involvement is required. Aortic arc plaques, go for aggressive risk factor controls. The key factors before we go into the take-home messages, please do not label a stroke as cryptogenic until you have done a basic echo at least and a basic rhythm monitoring. And in case of young stroke with posterior circulation plus neck pain, always think of dissection first. This is something which is commonly missed because these are trivial events which people don't think are that important, and they just don't think that it is possible that they could have made, because of that kind of a simple event, they have had a stroke. Next is, if the stroke is cortical and in multiple territories, prioritize cardioembolic surge. Revisit the diagnosis if new systemic clues develop. That is, you find fever, rash, arthralgia, then do not just forget that there could be a vasculitis thing involved over here. Document the workup pathway notes very, very clearly. So secondary prevention is matched to the cause when it is found. Finally, the take-home message is cryptogenic stroke is very common in ICUs as well as in the wards, but often is solvable even just with a simple, a little more deeper and clue-driven testing. Extended rhythm monitoring is important, and echo with bubble study is very ideal because it will detect the two most common causes, that is atrial fibrillation and PFO. In younger age group, think PFO, dissection and thrombophilia. In older age group, think AF, aortic arch disease and cancer. Link the cause to therapy because the core of secondary prevention must not be forgotten. Thank you for your patience.